Welcome in everybody to this live stream, Jay's Digest. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. It's been a long time since we've done one of these, Nick, but feels good to be back. Hopefully we can get these streams rocking. We've been both pretty busy pumping out these daily videos and with work as well, but a lot of trade rumors going around Jay's land, a lot of trade rumors just going around the MLB in general. There's been a couple of moves that have gone down since our last video and this live stream around the MLB, and we'll break those down for you guys. But yeah, welcome in. A lot of rumors on the hot stove going around Jay's land right
Yeah,
now.
what's up, Limousine? Yeah, it's good to be back. Some news just dropped as well regarding the Blue Jays. Not trade news necessarily, but some Hyunjin Ryu, a return date, Chad Green stuff. So we'll break all that down. It was good timing, as well as some other stuff there. What's up, Bluebird? And yeah, there's a lot to go into. Peter just disconnected. He'll be back in a second. But what's up, Indra, Bluebird? There's tons of rumors to get into. I know you guys have been, keeping up with. There's Peter's back. We're back. Thoughts on Ross Martinez? We'll go through all your questions. We're here to answer questions. It's been a while since we streamed. We'll break down potential targets, who you guys think, and maybe if we're lucky, we'll be live for around 30 to 45 minutes, depending on how it's going here. But maybe we'll be lucky and the Jays will make a trade or maybe trade around the MLB. I do have Twitter ready as well, which we can swap to, Peter, if news starts to get hot here, as he's having some technical difficulties again. But we'll get into some of the questions now while Peter works to fix that. I'll go to the solo in the meantime here, but yeah. So I don't know if you guys saw the video today. Some rumors are starting to get down. Thoughts on Relvis Martinez? Is he a trade piece or a keeper? I think he's a keeper, and that was a part of today's video as well. I really want Ross to do something. I think he will do something. Kendall Graveman just got traded. We have some Ryu news. Peter is back now, I think. Peter, you good there?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm using a different camera here.
All right.
I don't know what's been going on
We're back. We're back.
these past couple days here, but my webcam has been freaking out. Freaking out. I'm using my FaceTime camera right now.
We'll live with it. What's up, Nick? What's up? Yeah. It's been a while. Shout out to all the members. And what do you want to touch on first, Peter? We have a lot of stuff we can get into. Well, obviously, Peter obviously, again, he's using his other camera, so we'll bear with him there. But Kendall Graveman just got traded. Some other stuff happened. Trade Pearson and White for Lane Thomas or Jordan Montgomery. It would take more than I think that. But we can discuss all that. Maybe whip out the trade machine. But
yeah,
it's nice to be back on the live stream to have some, just some conversations with you all, and we're gonna try to do them more, especially as this trade deadline heats up. But Peter, who would you want to see the Jays target? Anything you want to discuss? Ask the chat. It's an open book.
definitely want to talk about the White Sox because they have just been unloading everyone and they're taking whatever prospects they can get. They got a pretty decent prospect in return for Kendall Graveman. They got Corey Lee, pretty good catching prospect over there. They got a top 10 prospect from the Dodgers in exchange for Lance Lynn and
Joe Kelly.
Joe Kelly, right. So, those guys are not having good seasons, and they went out and got pretty good prospects in return for him. So it's a buyer's market. It's definitely a buyer's market, and though these assets are definitely, you have to overpay for them. And whether it's Lane Thomas, whether it's anyone else, and even relievers, I've been shocked at the return that these relievers have been getting back for these teams. So it's interesting. It's a lot to pay for these guys, and Ross Atkins and company, they're going to have to be willing to dish out some pretty highly touted assets in order to get anyone back. But I think they'll go ahead and do that in the next couple of days because they got to make this team better.
It seems to be a seller's market for sure, and from the sense that if you are selling, you're, going to get a lot of assets back for your players. David Robertson obviously got a couple good players, and like you just said, Kendall Graveman literally just got traded recently, and I wouldn't be surprised if another trade, goes down while we're on here. But I guess there's a few things. Yeah, there's a lot to discuss here. George Springer also, he got moved out of the starting or the leadoff spot down to the 5th. We can touch on that as well. And I have a question here, a question from I couldn't find it now, but Steven saying, who are you higher on, Relvis Martinez or Addison Barger? And that's a question. I'm curious to see what chat thinks. Peter, who would you rather see the Blue Jays trade if it's for a fairly impact player out of those two, Addison Barger or Relvis Martinez? I don't really know where I stand on that. I'd have to think about it, I think. But
I think Relvis Martinez has a much higher ceiling than Addison Barger. Barger is what he is. I believe he's going to be a very solid MLB player, guy with a lot of power, but Probably, going to cap out at maybe 20 to 25 home runs, play some decent defense, Jesus. And I do think Aroldis Martinez is someone that has like 40 home run potential and who could be a cornerstone on the hot corner for the Blue
Yeah,
Jays.
I
So
can't agree
I'd
with that.
probably lean towards Aroldis. Think he's got a higher ceiling, but I do think the trade value is pretty similar at this moment in time right now.
Yeah, I think so too. And Elvis, again, if he can put it together like he's done recently, he has a chance to be a 40, 45 home run guy. And if he can get some contact and hit
Right.
like even 240, then you're looking at a third baseman who, as long as the defense holds up, will be a perennial all star if you're putting up those numbers. So very, very interesting. I'm open to trading both if it puts the Jays in a legitimate position to win the World Series. I would agree with that. But you have to understand, and I was reading about this a couple hours ago. I don't know if it was on Twitter, an article, whatever it was. But if you're the Blue Jays front office, and we said in today's video, go check it out if you haven't. Shadavidi went on and basically said, or maybe it's tomorrow, whatever. Shadavidi came on, and we don't know if we're trading our top prospects is kind of the thing there. And the Jays might, there's reports out that they might be making a big swing. But the point is that we have to replace. And Peter, I want to ask you about this. Whit Merrifield's an expiring deal. Matt Chapman's an expiring deal. Those prospects you have, like you could easily, and you mentioned it before and prior that our minor league players are very, very close to the MLB. So, like if you lose Matt Chapman, I think they're fine with keeping Aroldis Martinez and at least giving him a chance up there because, he's
Right.
fairly close to MLB ready. And I think it might be conservative from the fact that they have holes that need to be filled if they don't think internally they can re-sign Witt and Matt Chapman.
Something interesting to monitor as well is that Addison Barger was playing second base the other
Played
day for the
outfield too
Buffalo
before.
Bisons. Yeah, and he's been kind of that platoon guy playing a little bit all over the place, similar to Kevin Biggio and how he's been used this season. So if Biggio isn't cutting it anymore, I wouldn't be surprised if Barger came up and took his job. Davis Schneider is someone that you got to look at as well, who's been hitting very well in the minor leagues. So Relvis Martinez, of course, is forcing his way up through the rankings, and there's there are other infield prospects, a lot of depth in those positions that the Blue Jays can use to their advantage, whether it be in trades or in lineups next year. But that's a good thing about their farm system. They're very loaded with infield prospects, and obviously some of those don't always pan out. So it could definitely work to the Blue Jays' advantage. And I do see a move coming with a couple of those guys maybe being involved in the next
Yeah.
few days.
Hopefully soon. And they're not going to keep all those infield prospects. You wouldn't think.
You
David
can't.
Schneider, Addison Berger, Elvis Martinez. Those are three guys, and two of them are pretty close to the MLB. And Addison Berger could even make an impact this year, especially because if he's starting to become a utility role, then there's a lot more upside of him than Kevin Biggio. Maybe they trade Kevin Biggio. I do think, and we can maybe do some predictions before we do end the stream, but I do think that Santiago Espinal will be traded one way or another by the end of the deadline. He's heated up as of late
But
a
for
little bit,
what
but
though? But but
I
but
I
what do
don't
you
know.
even get back for him?
I might
Like
not be a
his
one
val.
for one. I think he'll be a part of a package. I think he'll be a part of a
But this
package.
is this is probably the worst time to trade him. His value's totally tanked, and then
I still think he
I,
goes. I mean, maybe not. I could be
he
wrong.
might. But if you were ever going to trade him, you should have traded him last year at the
Yeah,
deadline when you got Whit Merrifield,
that's a good point.
not now when he's been playing 2 times a week and he's been making mental lapses on defense, which is his calling card. That was a huge fumble by Ross Atkins and company
For Magic.
if they trade him for pennies on the dollar.
I guess I'm just thinking from a perspective of if they get someone who can play the infield like another player like that, then I don't think they're going to. I mean, maybe they do, and they get rid of Biggio. Biggio might make more sense there. Did the Jays trade a second baseman or do a run with all three to the end of the season? That's exactly what we're talking about now. I think they trade a. I think they trade a second baseman. I don't know who. It's obviously not going to be Witt, so I think it's between Biggio or. Do you think, Peter, that Espinal and Biggio will be on the roster by August 2nd?
Mm, no,
Okay.
but I do believe that they'll both still be in on the 40-man
Okay, so you
roster.
think one will get sent down or something like
I
that?
feel like one is going to get sent down because they're just not cutting it right now, and the Blue Jays have guys knocking at the door in AAA. Addison Barger deserves a chance. He's the next one in line. Davis Schneider is a little bit more complicated because he's not on the 40-man. But Barger deserves a chance. He's been raking in these past couple of games, so give him a shot. Those guys have options. Send them down. Try it out.
Espinal and Biggio for Luis Robert. That is I don't even think that is in the realm of
Yeah,
what it would
I
take to get
I think
Louis Robert.
Robert is untouchable. I think he's untouchable.
Yeah,
Sorry to break it to you.
it would definitely take. I mean, the White Sox are trading seemingly everybody, but I don't think Luis Robert would be one. I would have
Cease
liked.
and Robert are
Yeah,
probably off the table for
yeah.
them, but everyone else is fair game.
Berger and Davis Schneider could be at second and third next year. Very, very
Hmm.
possible. I think Elvis would probably get the nod at third, but maybe if they think he should, play another year in the minors. And I saw a
I feel
tweet
like they'd
today.
want to give him one more year in AAA, just like a full season, just
Possible.
just to have his own spot and see how he does there.
I think there is a world where all three make their way onto the Blue Jays opening roster next year. Though I think
Maybe.
there's a way. I don't think it's likely, but I think I saw someone tweet that as well. Um, Trade Zuleta not worth it. Too many walks. No time to panic yet. We're still hovering around the top five in trade talks. Nothing much has gone yet. Only one. Yeah, I mean, again, most of the moves will be on Tuesday, on August 1st, which is kind of segue a little bit. We can still talk about trades, but Hyunjin Ryu is making his Blue Jays debut on Tuesday, which is a bit of a shock to a degree. I mean, I'm not really, but he's going right into the rotation. They're not going to try him out of the bullpen. He's in a pitch against who was it Tuesday? I don't know off the top of my head.
Orioles. It's the
Orioles. So a
Orioles. Yeah.
huge game. I mean, every game for the next like 3 weeks is huge, but a big game for Ryu. And what are your thoughts on that, Peter? I know you've been on record saying you didn't think he had anything left in him. I
Yeah.
was kind of on there at the start of the year, but I've been more optimistic. But maybe
We
the
still got to see it though. We got to see it against Major League hitting. He's been doing it against AAA hitting. It's not the same level. There's a considerable gap between the two, AAA and Major League Baseball. But I still wouldn't roll with a six-man rotation. The rotation is not what has been your problem in the last couple of weeks. It's your bullpen. They've been gassed. They haven't been able to get through games. They haven't been able to win those close games just because they're being forced into those late leverage situations, game in, game out. So I think that hurts you down the line. Eric Swanson's still going to have to pitch just as much. Same thing with Jordan Romano. I think Mitch White's days are
yeah,
numbered
he's
on
done.
this team. I think he's going to be gone when Hyunjin Ryu gets activated on Tuesday. But you need another arm down there in the bullpen, at least someone that you can trust. You can't just go with seven for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I get trying to protect Manoah and trying to protect Gosman, but you can't be throwing away games either if Ryu and Manoah aren't
I think it
performing.
completely depends on how Ryu performs. I think is obviously
Hmm.
a big thing there, and it's gonna. I mean, you had to try him. He dominated in the minor leagues. He looks way healthier. The
Yeah, you
harm
gotta
is you
try
lose a
'em.
couple games, obviously, but I don't even think injury grace.
It's good in this stretch right now, the
17 and 7,
17
yeah.
games in 17 days. That's where it's
If
important.
he does well, does Manoa end up going to the bullpen? I mean, there's a world where Manoa struggles, Ryu is excellent. I mean, and then Ryu would be very interesting out of the bullpen. Someone Owen said, "Do you guys think the Angels give up too much for Giolito?" I think they had to give up their top two and their third prospect.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, they probably overpaid. They don't really have a choice though. They got to keep Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was one or the other. You either go all in to
yeah,
keep Shohei around, or you don't do anything and then you trade him, or you let him walk for nothing. So I like what the Angels are doing. It's good for
yeah.
baseball. It's good for the
Is
American
it
League,
good for
but
them?
it's not.
Probably not,
I
but
don't.
it's good.
I think they're gonna regret
Yeah.
that very soon. But
But let's also
not
keep
our
in mind
problem.
that, the Angels system is pretty bad. So, their top two and three prospects aren't as good as some others. Now, it's
Yeah,
probably
but it just got worse. It just got
exactly. Now
worse
it's
by
really,
trading those
really bad.
guys.
I mean, I don't know what else they have left they can trade there, but they had to try to keep Otani and I mean, the only way
I
I
hope
won't
he stay. I hope he stays there, man. Just because of what they've done now,
yeah.
you know.
It's a benefit if the only benefit out of him not being traded is that he won't be to the AL East right now, at least this year, which would have
Right.
been brutal. If he went to the Orioles, I would have been terrified. How much longer for Chad Green? I believe Chad Green is making a Florida Complex League an A ball tomorrow. Yeah, okay, tomorrow, and then AAA after that. What's up, Trainer? Ryu against the Orioles should be interesting. It's definitely you're kind of going for it there. You're kind of similar to Manoa against, well, not really, because it was Manoa against the Tigers, so it wasn't the same, but it would have been. I was thinking Manoa on Canada Day. It would have been kind of a similar thing to
Right.
that. Why not make it big?
Limousine
Go
here.
ahead. Yeah.
Limousine here saying Summer Bears has some value too, but I don't think the Jays want to trade away pitching prospects. They definitely want to deal from their positions of strength in the minor leagues, and the infield. They want to trade those guys away. They don't have too many pitching prospects, especially not any good ones. So they want to
Yeah.
hold on to those. And same thing with outfielders. You can't trade outfielders and you can't trade pitching prospects, but you got like 9 middle infielders in Buffalo, so you can go ahead and deal from there.
Tucker Tolman as well, someone that was
Right.
mentioned as a
And
potential, I guess, trade. Angels always have Joe Adell. I guess they do have him. He has like a 975 OPS in AAA as of his last however many games. So, but yeah, I mean, I agree. I think they
did
have
they
to
call
trade
him
an
up?
infielder.
Did they
No,
call him up this year?
yeah, they did, and they sent him back down because he was hitting like 100 or something like that. I think I'd
They
rather
don't give
have
him a chance, man. They don't give him a
get
chance.
someone to get infield prospects that are MLB ready and way down in the minors. We're like, regardless of if Ross Atkins thinks the team is good enough to win without additions, Leo Jimenez is another. You need to trade somebody. You just need to trade somebody, even if because it's hindering the development of other players that could be also doing well, or at the very least, if not hindering the development, hindering the ability to turn them into trade chips. You have so many guys that are even Otto Lopez, who has not really turned into anything. Unfortunately, he's actually been really bad in AAA, but
But Nick,
still,
Mason McCoy, well, why do you think they went out and got him?
and he's
It's
horrible.
because he's a non-prospect. He's not even going to sniff the major leagues. All the best to him. I hope
I was not
has a
watching.
long, fruitful career in whatever he decides to do. But Major League Baseball is not going to be one of them. I'm sorry to break it to you, but the Jays have a ton of infield prospects, and they went out and traded for another one. So what does that tell you? It means that they're waiting to either
Yeah,
promote someone, to either trade someone, and something is brewing.
yeah.
Something is brewing, and Ross Atkins tends to wait till the last moments of the trade deadline to get things done. Sometimes that's bad, other times it
With
works out in your
Merrifield last
favor.
year.
But with Merrifield, that's right.
And also, and this is an interesting thing to note, is most of the Blue Jays trades, most of the Blue Jays trades don't get leaked early compared to some of the other front offices. And I saw some discussion about that as well. Most of them don't. Like most of them, you kind of like you can be linked to guys and stuff like that, but the actual finalization of the trade. And shout out Mason McCoy. He's way better at baseball than I'll ever be. But he, like you said, he's a
Oh, me
AAA guy.
too. I mean, me too. But you need
You need
you
those
need to
guys.
fill out 5 teams.
Yep.
You need those guys.
I
You need
think
those guys that are committed to your organization. And shout out to him, man.
I think a trade.
Hopefully he does get a chance with
Yeah.
like the Pirates or the A's or something. You know,
Hit the like button. Shout out
not
everyone
with
in here.
us.
Nah, shout out everyone in here. Hit
Not
the
with
like button. Let's
us.
get to 30 likes. Tucker, trying to understand. I hope I keep Tucker Tolman. I'm a huge fan. Yeah, I could see a trade with the Cardinals potentially coming to fruition. Maybe I mean, I don't know who. Tyler O'Neill would be kind of nice, but who knows? Getting Mason tells you that literally nobody else wanted Trent Thornton because he's terrible at baseball. I don't think Thornton's that bad. I mean, the Blue Jays can't use him, but there's going to be some team that needs innings, and Trent Thornton can throw up like a 4.75 ERA, I think,
Mm-hmm.
which is
And
not
he was the Jays innings leader in 2019.
19. Yeah,
So put some respect on his name.
had some. That was a horrific year, but
It was.
it was true.
Yeah, still.
I'll
All right.
quickly check Peter if you
Led
want
to
to
this.
ask Chad a question. I'm just
Led
going to
to
check
this.
Twitter or X. I'm
Yep.
calling it Twitter.
Yep.
Just looking through here now and some stuff.
Shout out to the 110 of you that are in here. That's a big time number. Let's get that up.
Yeah, shout out.
Let's grab one of
Support's been
those,
unbelievable.
one of the Rocky bats. Which one? Who do you have in mind, Richie? Interesting.
Nothing too crazy.
Keep in
right
mind,
now.
dealing struggling top prospects is a poor idea because other teams are going to hold that against them, valuing them less. And if they were top prospects, they could easily bounce back. What's the question? I don't understand. I don't understand the question there.
Has White been DFA'd? Nope. He has not, Taco. He will be.
In a couple of days, by Tuesday.
Maybe Jerkson Profar, one of those moves that would help for next year. I think he's done. He's done for.
I don't,
What are his
that's
stats this year? I thought they were like
we were
horrible.
talking about him.
Maybe
We were
I'm
talking
off.
about him before the year.
I remember that. I think he turned
Quite a
into,
bit.
maybe he's doing it right. I know that I saw him on like a worst defensive ratings list though, which is kind of surprising. But maybe I'm mixing up. I'm pretty sure he's had like a negative 1.4 year. Barry Ayers untouchable. I think Barry Ayers touchable.
I wouldn't say
I
that.
think he's touchable.
I wouldn't say that.
I mean, I think if you're between Barriera and Tiedemann and you're making a major splash, you're definitely going to
Oh.
obviously trade Barriera.
Dude, not even close, man.
But-
Not even close. He's how many years away from the major leagues, man? If
lot.
even, like what, 5, maybe
I
4 or
think
5.
4. Yeah, I think 4. Trade for Lane
Yeah.
Thomas would be great. We obviously got hits lefties well. Lane Thomas is another guy. He's in the thumbnail. I'd like a Lane Thomas trade. But again, like most of these moves aren't going to go down until Tuesday, most likely. Because I mean, that's usually how it goes. I mean, maybe Monday, but like I don't know if the Jays. I mean, they have done stuff in the past. A couple was it last year or the year before when they got Adam Simber. They needed bullpen arms, and they got they addressed that pretty clearly. And I was reading another article today. Reading a lot of Jays articles lately. Ross Atkins has had some masterclass trades the past couple of years, aside from that Mitch White one. Like looking back at it, he has been obviously there's a lot of hate for him, and I'm not really one of those people. I think he's done a really good
I'm
job.
not one of them either.
You look at you look at the trade Jordan Groshans for Simber or for Bass Poppin. There's also another catching prospect involved. That was a phenomenal trade, even though both guys now are struggling. But I think he's done well. I have faith in Ross Atkins. Obviously, the Mitch White one was the one people look on the most. But even Nick Frasso has kind of cooled off and is not even, kind of has the ceiling.
He got traded. He got traded to the Boston Red Sox.
He did?
In that Kike Hernandez trade.
I thought that was really? Oh my.
He's become he went from one of the top prospects in the LA system, and then he got traded in that Kike Hernandez deal.
Oh wow. I didn't even know what the return was for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy, huh? And he was tearing up the minors.
He traded.
Jeez,
I'm out of it.
The Jays, let's just go over that trade one more time. So Nick Frasso was sent by the Jays to the Dodgers in exchange for Mitch White and Alex DeJesus, who hit for the cycle a month ago
He's doing great.
in A ball or double A ball. He's been hitting 4th in the Vancouver Canadians lineup. He's got unbelievable power. He is another infield prospect that has potential to rise up through the rankings. So depending on how Nick Frasso does, it's not a total disaster of a trade. Obviously, Mitch White didn't pan out, and I think Ross Atkins is still holding on to that as one of his trades that are going to work out in the long term. But if Alex DeJesus develops, who knows?
Yeah.
You got something there, Nick? What's with
I'm
the
trying
look
to figure
of
out
surprise?
nothing. I was just hold on.
Thought a trade went down.
Yeah.
Frasso's still he's not.
I thought the tweet that was like fake. That's why I was a bit, but I don't know who they actually.
Was it fake?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. Does anyone in the chat know what the trade was for Kike Hernandez? Because I saw the same thing, but then I thought someone else said it was fake. But regardless, I don't know what the actual. Peter, you want to check on that so I can keep the. Also, ignore the little screenshots there. Just the hotkeys. Does anyone know the full?
Did I get rickrolled here?
You may have gotten rickrolled.
Maybe.
Let us know in the chat there. I can't find the return. So Frasso will be striking out the Jays next weekend at Fenway. Then Jays move White to LA for Peter. We also give up another pitching prospect in the deal. We did, Trainer. I forget who it was. Nick Robertson and Justin Hagenman. So it wasn't. It wasn't Frasso. Okay, that's what I thought.
So where did I read that then?
There was someone who tweeted it. I saw the exact same thing. And
Sorry
I also just
guys.
I just looked at it on Twitter again, and someone else, it was the same tweet that was there. I was gonna say it seemed like a bit of an overpay for Hernandez, but I mean it is what it is. It wasn't for us or Hernandez.
Well, that's on me.
I saw the same thing. Enrique Hernandez back at the Dodgers, announced they acquired him for Nick Robertson. Okay, yeah, that's cool. No, there wasn't. I don't think I saw any moves on Twitter there, or on X. I'm not gonna call it Twitter. Ben Nicholson tweeted. Okay, they just tweeted that the Blue Jays will use a 6-man rotation. They haven't shared plans beyond that. So a 6-man rotation while they play 17 and 17 with Ryu there. And after that stretch, there's a strong case to be made for paring down to 5 somehow, but there's time. Which makes sense. It makes total sense. And I don't know. It's interesting. Hot rumor I heard about 90 minutes ago.
The Dodgers traded Syndergaard for Ahmed Rosario, which is such a weird.
The Dodgers have.
That would have been cool like a couple years ago. For both
I was going to
teams,
say, so the Dodgers have acquired like I know it's going all over Twitter, like negative WAR players just all around the board here, just straight up negative. I don't know what happened to Lance Lynn either. He's he's 115 innings with a 6.46 ERA. So he's
still got like 155 strikeouts though, which is nuts to me.
7 innings, 12 Ks against the Jays last time they played there. Make sure to like button. Support's been unbelievable lately, and we have a lot of videos coming, 2 to 3 times or 1 to 3 times a day. Let's not get it. I kind of dig the idea of 3 innings pitch Ryu Manoa every fifth day. That'd be pretty funny. If you guys remember when we got rid of Taylor Saucedo and Mariners got him and turned him into a really star reliever, I'm afraid to do the same with Trent Thornton. I mean, maybe, but like this is, I mean, at the end of the day, like that's all a non-factor. Oh, and put it this way,
That's just the Mariners
baseball.
pitching development. They're
Yeah,
just good at developing arms. It's nothing that the Jays could have done there.
we got Jay Jackson. So hypothetically, we kept. Oh, and just let's say we kept Taylor Saucedo. That means less room for Tim Meza, which means that he wouldn't have had as good of a year as he's having. So you can just throw these
Hmm.
hypotheticals out there, or maybe we kept Trent Thornton and Jay Jackson wouldn't have got the shot, and now he's being dominant. So you can kind of just throw it in any way. At the end of the day, like we don't need Thornton. We just don't, especially
So
if
Nick,
you're healthy.
what happens now? What happens now that Hyun-Jin Ryu's coming back on Tuesday? Does that put to bed any
It's a good point.
starting pitching talk, any Verlander talk? Obviously, the Verlander talk, I would think so, but
You got me there, Taco, for a second. You had me a little bit.
mm,
I think that's a great
two
question.
pounds of it.
Dan should be hitting fifth and Springer down to seven. It's possible.
I wouldn't
Like
go that far.
in if anything, I think Varsho should move lower down, but that's just me. But anyways, I think I don't know. That's a good question. Like if you have a chance to get Justin Verlander, you do it and figure it out after, in theory. But
Yeah,
like
but
you're
do you
really
need him? Do
loaded
you need
then.
him?
No, I mean you're probably not. Probably. I mean, I don't know. Like I hate saying that because in the playoffs, like, but it's tough because so our who would our top three be in the playoffs right now? We obviously know in order. It's gonna be what Gosman, Barrios, Bassett, or switch Bassett and Barrios. I'd rather have Barrios ahead of Bassett, I think, in a playoff game right now. But you can do your switch either way. It's
Couldn't
close.
have said that 12 months ago.
I know completely. But like
Rather have
you, I think you called it. We
Barrios.
kind of called a bounce back for him. We
I
fully
call
called,
I called it. I said he would be top 10 in Cy Young voting this
and
year.
that's not there yet, but it's possible. You also I was
Well,
looking.
maybe,
Shout out to
maybe
shout out
it
to
might
Peter.
be.
Everyone in the chat 4 months ago before the season started, I was in a video looking at the comments, and Peter, you predicted a Kikuchi, I think like 12-win season with a 3.9 ERA, and so far you are almost right on the money. So I don't know how you got that. Stroman to Rangers, is that happening? I can never tell during these live streams like what's if you guys
Yeah,
are
you
just
guys are just trolling
saying
us
that.
right now.
Trainer saying
Just
Barrios
like
should
I
be two.
trolled you
Yeah,
guys. I
Barrios.
deserve it for saying Nick Frasso was going to the Red Sox.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, bamboozled. Um, but yes, like in a playoff series, are you happy with a Gosman, Barrios, Bassett, top three for a wild card series, or would you rather a Gosman, Barrios, Stroman, or Verlander? In this, obviously, you'd rather that, but in the sense of for a prospect, like that top three there would be nasty. I don't know how much faith I have in
Yeah,
Bassett in
it'd
a
be
playoff
good.
game. It's the only thing,
It'd be good. But yeah, you just wish Manoa were
and
pitching
that's the thing.
similar to a level like he was last year because you feel like you're missing a little bit more of that
Yeah.
firepower. Yeah, Barrios has been good, but he's still liable to give up the home run ball, and he still had that rough season where nothing went right for him. So and at any moment, could it just go back to what he was last season?
I
That's
don't
what
think
I'm
so
worried about. So I don't think so. I think that was
because he's been good his
an
whole career,
outlier.
right? He's been good his whole career.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
he's
that
pretty
was
good
an
again.
outlier, but he's always been prone to give up the home run ball,
True.
and that could hurt you in the playoffs. So I don't know. I
Tyler
don't know.
saying Morrissey said Lane Thomas is a name to watch for the Jays. Really? I'm gonna double check that because that could be of use for us. Let me
Don't fall for it, Nick. Don't believe it.
a name to watch. Ah, did I get?
Yeah, that's not crazy.
No,
That's
I know.
not
I'm
crazy to
looking for
say.
the tweet. Are you trolling? Yeah. Okay, I don't see anything. I mean, it was probably on a show. It was
Trolling?
probably on a show. It was probably on a show. I keep getting this.
Yeah, maybe.
Apologies for the Boris Matt Chapman thing from like a month ago. Just keep popping up there. I think 3.75 ERA is attainable for Kikuchi. I'll trust Barrios over Manoa heading down the stretch this year, absolutely. And the good thing with Barrios is he kind of has like electric stuff, especially when he's rolling.
Hmm.
With Bassett doesn't really have, but
Much better this year too.
Bassett kind of has the old head pitches. Just throws slow, but has like 8 different pitches. So
But we've said that, Nick, in the past that we're kind of worried about Chris Bassett come
yeah,
playoffs because he's great to get you through a regular season. He's going to eat a ton of innings for you, But when the game gets tight and he's got to put away these great hitters in the playoffs, how's he going to do it? Is he going to be a pitch to contact guy? I mean, that's his calling card, and that's how he's going to have to get guys out. So if he's not working in a playoff game, it could be a rough day for him.
I agree. Morrissey was just on Blair and Barker. What did they say? We can say anything of use. We'll probably have a video on some of the stuff after. But Lane Thomas is a guy that we haven't really made a video on yet, which is an interesting guy to speak of. I think the Jays, he'd cost a good bit. He really would. He'd probably cost on the higher tier. Bassett is not someone I trust. Get Tim Anderson, Tommy Pham, and a bullpen arm. Be interesting. I think a bullpen arm.
So Mike Wilner tweeted this out here. I'm sure this is coming from a dozen people, but John Schneider just told us that Hyun-Jin Ryu will start Tuesday against the Orioles an hour after the trade deadline passes. That's interesting. That's interesting because
that is interesting.
What does that say? What does that mean? Like, does that mean that there are going to be no additions to the pitching staff, or does that mean that there will be additions and that Hyun-Jin Ryu is on a tryout after the trade deadline? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's crazy. It's just
that is very weird. They picked the game right after the deadline there.
Yo-yoing us, man. They're just toying with us at this point.
I wonder what the reason for that is. I mean, you can kind of swing it both ways. Don't underestimate Ryu. 25 pounds he lost, he'll be great. I think he will be. If you Cy Young Ryu, I don't know. It scares me. Morrissey also mentioned a Jays and Padres trade. That would be interesting. I mean, that would be what we touched on in today's video. I'd assume Hader, Snell.
Snell and Hader.
Yeah. Jays going for relievers or hitters. Josh Hader would be crazy. That would be an insane, trade.
And another crazy thing that happened 8 years ago today, the Jays traded for Troy Tulowitzki.
I remember that like it was yesterday.
If you guys remember that happened at 4 a.m. Eastern time. Who knows? Something crazy could happen. It would obviously be tomorrow if it were to happen at 4 a.m., but something crazy could happen while we least expect it, and Nick and I won't be able to break the news to you guys, but
live stream.
Man, I don't know. I'm waiting for something ridiculous to happen, and I feel like it's coming in the next couple of days.
Josh Hader's the least possible Jays move I've ever heard of. I disagree. Springer batting 5th tonight. We'll lead off again. Yeah, it's crazy, New Brunswick. Owen said, I think we're overthinking it. Not sure how Ryu starting for the first time would have to do with the trade deadline. I mean, they could have started. I mean, this probably is overthinking it, but they could have started him any other time. And they mentioned it actually on the broadcast. I think it was a few days ago that they were planning on waiting to start Ryu until after the deadline because of any moves that they make and just sorting it out. So maybe they have something on the go. Has the Michael Lorenzen Jays talk cooled down? I know he's a target once upon a time. I assume so. Again, most of the Jays stuff is pretty tight knit. Do you think the Jays make a significant move,
right,
Peter? Pretty basic question there. Well, what do you consider significant?
I think so. I think we should make some mock trades for Josh Hader. That's what I think we should do.
Yeah, we can.
That'd be awesome.
On the machine, or do you want to just spitball
them? We could spitball them. Could spitball them.
I'll let you start.
So I'll just have the trade values pulled up here, and I'll let you know. I'm
gonna keep everyone up to date with Twitter here. And let us know your mock trades for Josh Hader. It's just for a laugh, just for some fun. Obviously, it's not likely. Also,
now the other thing is, are they packaged together, Hader and Snell? I don't think so.
That would be every single prospect.
No, but I'm not saying just for the Jays. Do the Padres want to deal them together, or do they want to deal them individually? Probably individually. I don't know.
I'd say individually. Josh Hader for Zulette and Tucker Tolman. Hader isn't coming to Toronto, 0 chance. Yeah, I mean it is so unlikely. But
he's an expiring deal, I guess.
Yeah, Romano's too shaken for me. Josh Hader across a ton. I'm starting to believe John Mark Candelario might be good. Interesting. Otherwise, Jays fans to be realistic. I think Soto, Bellinger, Stroman to be excited for silent power acquisitions. Yeah, that's the most likely thing. But we're just having some interesting fun here. But I'd agree. I mean, the most likely scenario is some quiet trade at the end of the day.
All right, Nick, before we do this, give me 3 names. 3 guys that you want to see. They could be outlandish names. They could be just guys, whatever. Give me 3 guys that you want to see be Blue Jays by the end of this deadline.
Okay, I'll go with one outlandish and then two realistic-ish. So I'm gonna
Cool.
go. I'll go with Josh Hader since we're on the conversation of him. And then we'll go with
All
Lane
right.
Thomas, and I'll go with. So I guess if we have Hader, I was gonna say Michael Lorenzen, but let's go with Tommy Pham.
I'm
Obviously
gonna
we're not getting
go.
all three. I'd assume we're getting like one or two of these guys because they're both outfielders there. But
I'm gonna go Tim Anderson because the White Sox are clearly just fire sale, getting rid of everybody. Hmm. You know what? I'll throw Liam Hendricks in there too as as a name. So Liam Hendricks, Tim
isn't
Anderson,
he hurt after
in a
the season?
package deal is out for the year.
Might not be out for the year. He's probably not out for the year. I know he's hurt though. Like no timetable for return, I
Okay.
believe.
Okay, forget that then. I'm gonna go Tim Anderson. I'll also go with Tommy Pham. I think that's someone that the Jays need. And hmm, Stroman, Marcus Stroman. Give me Marcus Stroman. What do you
So
think of that?
yeah, I like it. Sorry, I was just texting. I liked it a lot. Brent Rooker's a guy. Now he's a bit more shrieky, but I feel there's so many Peter. Knowing Atkins will get absolutely nothing. Let's stop.
No, they'll do
Let's stop
something.
sleeping on
They'll do
Atkins. Everyone
something.
hates on Ross Atkins, man.
Because he never
He doesn't go
he
all in.
never goes fully all in for good reason. Would you have gone in all in last season, Nick, with that team that you had, with the way that they were performing?
Nope. In hindsight, the only year I would have went all in would have been 2021. But like, that's hindsight now.
But they kind of did. Like they had all the pieces. They just
Exactly.
got unlucky. I don't think they had to make any changes to that team the way that they were playing. Just didn't work out.
Yeah, we
Can't
would.
live
I still stand by. We would
life
have
in
went far in that
regrets.
playoffs if we would have gotten in that. Would have been a
I
crazy year.
agree. I
Such.
agree with that.
I remember watching that game. It was a Sunday, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was a Sunday, the last game of the season or whatever it was, where the Jays smoked the Orioles and then the Yankees ended up walking off
It was
with
the Red Sox.
Red
The
Sox.
Red Sox beat the Nationals. I
That's what it
remember it
was.
like
The
it was
national and the
yesterday.
Nationals were
Yeah.
up. The Nationals were up for man. That is top five pain in my memory.
That would have set up a game 163, if I'm not
I think
mistaken,
so.
because the Red Sox and the Jays would have been tied, and nothing was stopping the Jays. Nothing was
They were
stopping the Jays
rolling.
that year. Marcus Simeon finished third in MVP voting. Vladdy finished second in MVP voting, and probably would have won it if it wasn't for Shohei Ohtani being an alien, a freak of nature. So that team was special, man. Teoscar Hernandez had like 120 RBIs. Bo was
Robbie
hitting
Ray.
295. Yeah, dude, that team was probably one of the best Jays teams that I've ever seen in my life, and I'm so mad that they didn't get a chance. I
I
still
think
can't
it.
get over it to
I
this
think it was
day.
on the level of 2015. I think it was on the level of
Oh
that team.
yeah,
In
yeah,
2015, we were World Series
absolutely.
favorites going into the playoffs. Pain.
That's another reason why, even though Trevor Richards has been very good lately, I still remember that home run that he gave up against Aaron Judge, where the Yankees just absolutely slapped them in like a September series or something, and that was all Trevor Richards is doing, and oh, just
I
pain
remember that.
coming
Atkins gets
back to
hate
me
because he
now.
can't build a winning culture. Now,
Well, it's hard to call this not a winning
I was gonna
culture.
say we're one of
I
three.
mean,
We're like one of three teams in the MLB that have had 90 wins 3 straight years, assuming it holds out this year. So it's like I don't know. I
only
understand.
one team can win the World Series, guys. We got to remember that. And it's usually been the Astros lately. It's been the Astros at the end. They just don't have that same level of dominance this year. The Astros are not the same Houston team that we've seen year in, year out. So
I agree,
this
Lucky.
might be the year to go all in for Ross Atkins. And I'm sure he acknowledges that. He knows a lot better than we do, the
Yeah.
ones that are critiquing him. Let's give him time.
That being said, I also understand why there is some, not hate necessarily people who aren't a huge fan of, Ross, because he's on the more conservative side of GMs there. You have Alex Anthopoulos who would just buy and whatever. He's been here 8 years and he's won 0 playoff games. That's a
How can you even say that? How can you say that? He's given $150 million to George Springer. He's given $60+ million to Chris Bassett. He signed the richest
Peter's
deals
fired up.
in club history. How can you say that? Okay, he's conservative. He's dished out more money than every GM that's ever occupied the position for the Blue Jays.
Peter's fired up. I need to get one of those Greg's on thing. Do you think the hitting coach Martinez should be fired? I don't think it. I honestly don't think it makes that much of a difference. But like probably if they don't make the playoffs, I think if they don't make the playoffs this year, everything's getting teared down. If they get eliminated in the wild card again, I think Atkins is probably done. But like, unless also not forget, I'm gonna just piggyback off Peter for a second. Is that Ross Atkins was handed a horrific situation, horrible.
Look how quick the turnaround was.
The firm was
3
absolutely
years
dumped.
or 4 years later, they're back in the playoffs.
We had a bunch of like 34-year-olds, and we had no farm system. So I think he did a solid job turning around. And I understand he definitely deserves some critique on some things. But I think as a whole, like there's a lot of teams out there that, if we had a different GM, but I don't know. 0 playoff win. I do agree that no playoff wins is a bit rough. I do agree with that.
Apart from the trade, the Mitch White trade, that we're not even entirely sure is a total disaster yet. What other trades can you pinpoint off the top of your head that have been horrible?
It's kind of like a lack of trade. It was holding on to Donaldson for as long as they did. I'd say that was probably the.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Other than that, I can't think of too many. The Marcus Stroman one.
But what did that get you? That got you Simeon Woods Richardson and Anthony Kay, and then that got you Jose Barrios.
And that was honestly that was an Atkins masterclass. Traded Austin Martin when he was at his like peak value ever, and now he's a horrible prospect or no power prospect. So general distrust in management that people tend to have. I would agree with that. Please think he wasn't handed garbage. He got Vlad. No, I understand that, but I mean, he got handed a 16-year-old Vlad with no pepper. He was 16. So like
no,
he was.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, 8 years ago.
Okay. Well, okay, when Atkins didn't take over.
I saw this on a Reddit thread today. That's why I said 16-year-old. I was reading it. So no. I'm pretty sure he was 16. Man.
I mean, Vlad signed as a 16-year-old under Alex Anthopoulos in 2015.
Yeah, and he took over 2016, right?
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
That year that they lost to Cleveland in the.
I think so.
Really?
I think
wow.
Someone double. Okay.
So he did win some playoff games then.
So maybe not. When
that was the case.
I could be wrong here. It could be 2017.
Probably
they hired him 2015.
17.
December 2015.
To do what though? Not as a GM.
No. 2017 was it? Man, I don't.
17. 20. Okay. 2-0 legend sitting here.
17. Okay. Regardless, I mean, whatever it was, he's 17 years old. I do agree though. He was handed obviously a
still young.
Prospect.
The team is still young though. Like the core players that they're building around.
And listen, I understand what you're saying. I'm not even disagreeing fully. I'm just kind of offering a different perspective on. I don't hate Ross Atkins as much as some do. Varsho trade looks bad right now. Can we have a quick discussion on the Varsho trade before we wrap up? Because this is something that has been. Atkins Shapiro have been here longer than a couple. So yeah. What are your? Let's get some chats going here. Padres listening on Soto Hater and Snell per Sports. I thank you, Brett. So the Varsho trade. Before Peter, I get your opinion because I have a very strong opinion on this, and I think we might tend to agree on our opinion, but I'm not 100% sure. Chat, are you happy? Mid or unhappy with the Varsho trade? Just maybe I'll throw up a poll. I'm gonna throw up a poll.
You want me to go? You want me to go ahead and answer this?
I'll answer it with you in a second. Varsho trade. Computer's lagging. Happy, mid, unhappy, mid happy. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll get a crack at this first, and then you can kind of piggyback off what I say here, Nick. But I think I'm kind of in the middle. I'm on the fence.
You're mid happy.
I'm mid happy. I'm mid. So let's look at the 3 players involved in the deal.
I was gonna do the same thing.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr., underwhelming. Gabriel Moreno, apart from throwing out guys on the bases, very underwhelming, not hitting a ton. Dalton Varsho is probably leading in when it comes to Gold Glove in in left field, and you'll probably be leading in center field next year when Kevin Kiermaier is playing for another team, or if Kevin Kiermaier doesn't come back to the Blue Jays. So his defense has been as good as advertised. It's been phenomenal. He has probably saved them a lot more games than we realize with his elite defense in the outfield. That being said, his hitting has been atrocious. It's been poor. It's been a lot worse than I thought it would be. I knew he'd be a 230 hitter with some pop when he got here, but he's been worse than that. The pop is totally sapped out of his bat. He's not hitting for any power. He's striking out a ton. He's hitting fly balls when he's not striking out, and he just doesn't look good at the plate. He's got to figure it out, but you still have him for 3 more seasons after this.
Yes.
Lourdes Gurriel Jr. is going to be a free agent after this year. Gabriel Moreno, I think he's going to be a good player, not a great player at this level. I think Varsho has just as much potential, if not more potential, than Moreno because of his versatility. I don't know what you think of that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I've been holding on to this one for a little bit here. So basically, if you look at the trade here in a vacuum, and so the Jays traded Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who they're not going to re-sign. They weren't going to re-sign. We can almost, especially with the direction they went, there was no chance they were re-signing him.
Mm-hmm.
And I see Supervision say there's no way you said Lourdes is underwhelming. He was an all-star. He has the lowest OPS plus of his career as of this point right now. I think it's at 102 or something like that.
He had a good 2 months.
And it's always
a good
Lourdes.
month and a half.
It's always with Lourdes.
Yeah.
And the bat doesn't come around this trade with his defense. It is a massive loss. I mean, yeah, if his bat doesn't come around, it is a massive loss. But in a massive loss in the sense of the trade was essentially Dalton Varsho for Gabriel Moreno. So the Jays and the Diamondbacks swapped their surpluses. Obviously, the Diamondbacks had tons of outfielders and we had tons of catchers. We were never going to keep Moreno. We would have had to get rid of Kirk and Jansen. Now, in hindsight, maybe you keep Moreno over Kirk. Now, the Diamondbacks wouldn't have took Kirk for Moreno. But the point is, Moreno has zero power. He's not having a good year at all. I feel like a lot of Jays fans overvalue how good they think Moreno is this year. I think that is a very, that's a thing because he's not been good at all this year. We get caught up. He's been horrible this year. We get caught up in the
prospect rankings.
He's been very bad this year. He's been very bad this year.
He's not ready. He's not a major league ready player.
Which is fine. He has time. He has a great...
He's been rushed into that by the Diamondbacks because Carson Kelly is awful. Carson Kelly sucks, and they have no other catching option. So they rushed him into the big leagues. He's got a WRC plus under 80, if I'm not mistaken.
Who?
So Moreno.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I think it might be even lower.
He's been awful, but he's not ready yet. Everyone just gets caught up in the prospect rankings. They saw him as a top 10 prospect in all of baseball, and they're holding on to that. But the Jays, similar to what they're going to do this year, they traded from a surplus. They're going to trade one of their middle infielders this year to help their immediate ball club, their major league ball club, and they got rid of one of their 3 catchers that they had, and they held on to the 2 better catchers, which made a lot of sense for the Blue Jays because they want to win right now. So I don't hate the trade. I do wish Varsho was a bit more productive so far early on in his career, but he'll get there. He's got 3 years to figure this thing out. So
Trenner's saying Moreno's upside is an elite 2A catcher, and I mean I would agree to a degree. I mean Varsho's upside is obviously the value at catcher is higher. So I think the ceiling for Moreno could be higher, but I think what kind of hinders the ceiling is that no power. He hasn't shown power for the past, whatever it's been now. He maybe had one stretch in the minors where he showed power, but other than that, he has no power. And when you don't have power and he doesn't walk very much at all, his only positive on the hitting side is his bat-to-ball skills, which is good, but I don't know how high his ceiling truly... He's going to be a fine catcher in the MLB. I just don't think he's going to be a superstar catcher simply because of the power. And I think that's kind of what it's starting to... I think people are starting to slowly realize that. And that being said, Varsho is a huge concern. If he doesn't come around and he can't hit anything either, it's just as big of a concern as the... Again, and I saw a good comment here. If you're the Blue Jays, Peter, and we rewind time knowing what we know now, do you do the trade again? I absolutely do the trade again, in a heartbeat. I don't think...
I do the trade again as well, and I'll use Matt Chapman as an example. He came over from the AL West. It took him some time to figure out a new league, to figure out a new division, and figure out being on a new team in a new role. Same thing with Varsho. He played in the National League his entire career. He's a lot less seasoned than Matt Chapman was coming over to the Blue Jays. It's going to take him time to figure it out. He's made a couple of adjustments that haven't worked out for him. He will make those adjustments back in the offseason. He's a hard worker. And the one thing is that defense doesn't slump. As bad as he's been with the bat, he's been saving runs left and right in the outfield, and his arm has gotten better. His speed has gotten better. He's still developing as a player. He's not a finished product. He's only 26 years of age, and he's getting better and better with each game. I think he'll get to a respectable level with the bat by the end of the season, but look for him to make a big stride for next year.
Why the Danny Jansen love? He's been one of the best hitters on the Jays there. You guys are smoking senses there. I just think a lot of, I don't know. This trade causes a lot of every time this trade is mentioned, there's always just completely two different sides of the story. And Trenner's saying, I think Moreno definitely has a higher ceiling than Varsho. I tend to agree. He's younger, and there's not many elite catchers that can even hit very well to begin with. There's obviously a handful, so that would obviously probably put him in the higher ceiling category. I just think at the end of the day, I think Varsho will end up being the more valuable player for the Blue Jays over the next 3 to 4 years, which is what they traded him to do. And again, Kirk is having a rough year. If Kirk wasn't having this rough year, I think a lot of the perspective may have changed a little bit. Or if Varsho wasn't hitting like Bradley Zimmer as well, that would have.
But the thing is, I think a lot of people are frustrated because they feel like we could have gotten someone better for Gabriel Moreno.
Exactly.
But how do you know that? How do you know that? And if I were to tell you last year, sorry, go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say a report came out. I think I discussed this a while ago that I forget what it was. It was on Reddit. I don't know if it was from Ken Rosenthal, but they basically said that they talking about that trade. It may have been on Sportsnet or something like that, but one of the shows, and they basically said that other teams did not value Gabriel Moreno nearly as high as Blue Jays fans or maybe in the front office thought they would. So just throw that out there. That came out, which makes a lot of sense looking back at it now. I mean, he did soar up the prospect rankings, and I think if he gets power, then Gabriel Moreno could be unbelievable. What's up from Alberto? What's up next step? This is a good conversation, though. I love having this chat, especially.
Like you said, Nick, it's all about the next 3-4 years, and that's what's most important for the Blue Jays. That's their window to win a World Series. It might not be make or break this season, but who gets you closer to that in the next 3 years? Is it Varsho or is it Gabriel Moreno? And I think
Gotta be Varsho.
The overwhelming answer is going to be Varsho, and he will figure it out. He's a good player. He always hustles. He's always making the right plays. He had some flashes early on in the year. He was very hot to start the season, and he showed what kind of hitter he could be if he's dialed in. So I think the Jays tinkered with his approach a little bit too much. He's got to get back to what made him successful, and that's pulling the ball, pulling it in the air. But he'll get back to that.
I agree. Feel better executive able to manifest more opportunities than Atkins is capable of. I mean, who knows? We have no idea.
Mid happy.
Yeah, mid happy was the unhappy was very, very close. I think Moreno's lack of power is why other exact teams didn't value him as much. Probably. I won't pretend to know what the other teams value. I just know that I read an article from a reputable source saying that other teams didn't value him as much, which makes sense because if the Jays were gonna the Jays traded Gabriel Moreno, meaning that I can assure you that they were shopping him not just with the Diamondbacks. So they took the best deal. We can almost guarantee you that, at least from a value perspective. And it makes total sense. Obviously, Varsho hasn't planned out at all so far. But he hasn't been a disaster either. It's not like his defense, he doesn't let his offense affect his defense. He's still been a positive player on the field. It's just that his offense has been horrible. And I think it's been...
I could see the reservations, though. I could understand.
And I think a lot of this, poor play out of hitting whatever is heightened because of the way the Jays season has been to a degree and how frustrating it's been, how many clutch times and stuff like that. I think it all got heightened a little bit. But yeah, any fun?
It's not just him. it's not just him though. I mean, the whole team has been underperforming offensively, and you could even throw Bo Bichette in there. As good as he has been, he hasn't been great with runners in scoring position. They haven't done a great job at driving those guys in, and I think a lot of people are upset at Varsho's production because he is playing left field, and defense isn't as important for that spot. But when he's the everyday center fielder in a year or two, I don't know. I think the opinion is going to vastly change on how he's been performing, and offensive
I
production
mean,
isn't as important for
it could
center field,
change.
right?
It could change this year. It could still change. There's still,
If he helps you win a playoff
yeah,
series,
exactly.
I think that whole notion is just brushed aside, and no one cares anymore.
Yeah, but that'll wrap it up. Games in about an hour. This was really good. This was fun. It's been a while. We'll try to do them more. We're gonna have a lot of videos. Obviously, videos are the priority right now. There's so much news going down, but anytime we get some time, we'll put the streams on priority instead of the videos sometimes. But any final thoughts, Peter? We will have a video for you guys.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for a video tomorrow morning. Early tomorrow morning, we'll have a quick video for you, and then we'll have another one in the afternoon because there's going to be more news tomorrow. I think it's going to be an exciting weekend,
Yeah.
and either way, if you guys disagreed with us, if we agreed, it was a good talk, and it was fun. We love talking Jays. But any final thoughts, Peter, before we get set for the
Yeah.
biggest series of the season against the Angels so far? So far.
I mean, I think we're going to be saying that as every series gets
Yep.
started. You got the Angels today, which is probably the biggest one coming
Especially for
up, and
them.
then you got
Biggest
the
series for
Red
them.
Sox, and right, right. So yeah, this is going to be a season defining stretch of games for the Toronto Blue Jays. But I want to thank each and every one of you for all of your support. The 150 plus people in here, couldn't have imagined to have that on a random Friday evening. So thanks, and shout out to each and every one of you. The support's been unreal. We're gonna try pumping out those videos as best as we can. Nick and I actually, been kind of tinkering with our work schedules to get these videos out for you guys because
Okay.
we know it's a hectic time of year, and we're trying to get as much content out to you guys as possible. But yeah, that it's been great. It has been great, and be on the lookout for more as the
Yeah.
days roll along
Again,
here.
probably 2 videos a day now for a while. Maybe some days with one, some days with three. I can assure you, trade deadline day, it'll be you'll probably see
Might
us.
have a day. Might
Yeah,
have a day
you'll
like
see
that.
us
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 times on Tuesday there. But take it easy. Enjoy the game on Apple TV, unfortunately, but at least you get some of the cool graphics and there's some positives to Apple TV games. But take it easy, and we'll try to have one more stream for you guys before the deadline starts. Maybe we'll try to get one more for you guys. But great insights. Enjoy your week. You too, Berserker, and we'll see you guys
Thanks, guys.
next time.